Baseball season is here at last, and the excitement continues all season long at DraftKings.com, the official daily fantasy partner of Major League Baseball. Daily fantasy means no season-long commitment. Why wait until the end of the season to claim victory when you can win huge cash every day? Hurry to DraftKings.com now and enter promo code PARDON to play for free. You could win part of the $300 million in prizes being awarded this season. Enter PARDON for free entry now at DraftKings.com. That's DraftKings.com.
Pardon the interruption, but I'm Mike Wilbon. The world's biggest house is for sale, Tony. What would you do with 115 bedrooms?
Tony Kornheiser, at my age, not much more than I do with one.
Oh, you just want to confine swinging from the chandeliers to one bedroom?
Would you want a house with 115 bedrooms? Isn't that a lot of bedrooms?
I want a gym.
Yeah. Like, what's the most bedrooms would you want?
Well,
like 70?
No,
what?
7 or 8.
Yeah, it's a lot of
7 or 8.
bedrooms, isn't it?
115,
But
triple digit?
You couldn't even fit all your shoes into that house.
That's a closet space, baby.
Welcome to PTI, boys and girls. In today's episode, Kyrie Irving goes for 57. The Saints trade away another one of Drew Brees' weapons. And can Trent Richardson really be the next Marshawn Lynch? But we begin today with Kentucky going to 32-0 by beating their alleged SEC rival, Florida. Kentucky went from a 4-point lead at halftime to an easy 15-point win. Since its close call at LSU, Kentucky has won 8 games by an average of 20 points. Only one of those wins has been by fewer than 15. So, Wilbon, do you sense Kentucky is moving from an impressive team to a dominant team?
Tony, they may be doing that. I don't sense that yet because, and we've talked about this all year, we've pretty much felt the same way. The SEC is okay, but no more than okay. And you remember some years ago now, 30 years ago, when Georgetown would beat St. John's and Villanova and close games in the regular season, and you knew they were pulling away because the Big East was such a great conference. Yeah. But the SEC is not a great conference. I felt Kentucky had more impressive wins at the beginning when they beat teams like, I don't know.
No, I wrote them down.
Kansas. They beat UCLA. I was at the UCLA-Kentucky game.
UCLA, North Carolina, Louisville, and Providence, all of which are going to be.
Those are tougher. They're tournament teams.
I was surprised, looking back, I was surprised at how good Kentucky was
early
at the beginning. I'm going to go one step further. I don't even think the SEC is okay. I don't think the SEC has a single team, that's going to get to the round of 16. I don't know anybody who scares you. I think Florida is among the more disappointing teams in college basketball. But what we see with Kentucky every year is pretty much the same. As the year goes on, they often get better and better and better.
Well, that's how Calipari coached. That's what happened at UMass, at Memphis. That's trademark of Calipari coached teams.
Last year, with a bad team, bad for him.
Well,
bad for him. A team that went into the tournament as an 8
Yeah, but they were the number 1 pick preseason.
But they win as an 8, and they got all the way to the final. So neither of us is going to count Kentucky out. But what we are saying is essentially
dominant.
This. In the NCAAs, you're going to play you're going to play 5 good teams. And they haven't had a close game against a good team in a while.
Just to be the contrarian, you know what this could mean? We can watch a couple of SEC teams, and God knows you can't have many of them in the field. But maybe Kentucky's so good that
they're
they
real good
appear just mediocre, and they're better than that.
Now we move to Kyrie Irving dropping 57 points last night, the most points in one game in the NBA all season, in San Antonio to help Cleveland beat the Spurs in overtime. Everybody, including you, Wilbon, said this game had a playoff atmosphere.
Best game of the year.
And you have said all along the Cavs could not win a championship because Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love have never been in a playoff game.
That's right.
After a game like this with that atmosphere, do you still feel that way?
Tony, this game did not change my mind on it. It's been changing over the last few weeks, starting with the trade to get Mozgov and J.R. Smith and those guys in there, Shumpert in there. And then the Bulls' injuries have just diminished them completely. The Washington Wizards, which appeared to be a threat early, have gone south.
Toronto sinking.
South. So it looks like a one-team challenger, one-man challenger in there, and that's Atlanta, and some people don't believe in them. Look, Cleveland's the best team in the East. Tony, last night's game was unbelievable. Kyrie Irving was unbelievable. This was like Isaiah Thomas at his best 25 years ago. That's how great Kyrie Irving was, and LeBron James was just as good. And San Antonio, Tony Parker is back. I mean, look, this was a monumental game. It killed the kiddies. Everybody wants to watch March Madness. I watched like 5 games last night, and then the main attraction came on. This was it. And Cleveland, that's a major victory by the Cavaliers.
You've spoken for 2 minutes.
That's good.
What about the question, do you still believe that the lack of playoff experience, which you've gone on and on about, is going to disqualify them?
Weeks ago. You've asked me this 11 times because you want to bathe in your own glory of picking,
man.
Cleveland at the beginning of the year.
Before the beginning of the year.
I've said already as many times as I'm going to say it, yes, Cleveland's a favorite in the East. And last night is their most impressive win of the year.
So I'm going to say a couple of things. And the same thing I've said about LeBron for a while. It is LeBron's job after 5,000 playoff games and 5 finals to drag Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love to the first round of the playoffs. Then they're going to be fine. They're going to go, I believe they're going to go all the way. Kyrie Irving and Steph Curry are the most exciting players in the league to watch to me.
Not to me. You got to put Russell Westbrook in there.
Because he doesn't handle the ball the way they do. He's always going straight at the basket, and they're trying to help everybody else out there.
How about Kevin Love? On the bench the whole fourth quarter. Can they have a playoff run deep? In other words, finals?
Yes.
Can they do that with Kevin Love not in the game?
Last night against the defending champions on the road with Kevin Love on the bench in the fourth quarter, they won the game.
Down 6 with like 12 seconds.
Why do we play?
To win the game.
Thank you.
Can they win the game with Kevin Love on the bench?
I don't think he'll be on the bench. I don't think he'll be on the bench, but yes, they can.
It's a question.
They can.
I don't know the answer.
Kyrie Irving had 55 earlier in the year without LeBron. To have 57 with LeBron's very impressive.
He was great, and that game was great. Too bad you were asleep.
I was asleep, but I knew who'd win because I picked
You didn't know anything. Shut up. You didn't know anything.
I knew it.
Not a classic here in D.C. last night, Tony. Not even a game. Wizards won by 21, and even John Wall was somewhat disappointed. That's because Memphis sat Marc Gasol, Zach Randolph, Mike Conley, Tony Allen. And you might think every Wizard would be grateful the 45-20 Grizzlies did not play their starters, but no. Wall said sitting so many key players is a sure sign that Memphis doesn't respect the Wizards, even though Washington is now a playoff team.
Maybe.
So should Wall and the Wizards feel disrespected because of that, or simply hush up and be really happy about this win?
Shut up and take the win. Because this is a couple of questions the Wizards don't want to hear. Who exactly have they beaten lately? In their last 18 games, they're 5-13. They are sinking. Do you know the last time that they beat a team with a winning record?
When?
January 14th.
It's a long time
so
ago.
Shut up and be happy with the win, and don't talk about being disrespected.
That's right, and I agree with all of that. But I also understand John Wall's sentiment, but he's focused in on his team, what people perceive about his team, while Memphis and the rest of the league, and Randy Whitman's not going in this direction as an old school sort of Bob Knight guy. The rest of the league, as I point out to you all the time, is going in the direction of preventive maintenance. And so they just sit clumps of players.
Yes, they do.
I'm going to, while acknowledging that trend and understanding it to a degree, I'm going to agree with something that you always say. If I bought a ticket here in Washington, D.C. last night because I wanted to see a really good Memphis team.
A good team.
And they sat all their players. They sat multiple. Also, I'd be upset. I want a refund.
Yeah. And if there was a living, breathing commissioner in the NBA,
I knew we'd get
if Adam Silver wasn't out getting a manicure and a pedicure somewhere,
what's he going to do?
He would call up the coach of Memphis who had announced he was going to do this.
He did announce it.
And he announced it, and he would
National
call
TV
him
game.
up. And he would say, you're not going to do this. And he'd call up Greg Popovich saying, you're not going to do this anymore. And he'd call up Steve Kerr, who plans on doing this with Golden State. And he would say this, I understand why you want to do this.
Right.
Because your job is to coach your team. But my job is to act in the best interests of the league.
Of the league.
And its star league.
And our patrons.
We are a star league. We are not a team league. People come to see our stars. And if you sit those stars, it's going to cost you money.
The Pop guys have won. You know that.
If there was a living, breathing commissioner.
Pop guys have won?
Appears that way, because there's no commissioner.
Let's move to football, Tone, and the continuing fallout from NFL activity. The New Orleans Saints, who already shocked the world by sending Jimmy Graham to Seattle, today traded their top receiver, Kenny Stills, to the Dolphins for a linebacker and a third-round draft pick. The Saints did sign C.J. Spiller, who was displaced by Shady McCoy. I like Spiller. Tony, if you're Drew Brees, how do you feel about management trading away two guys who caught a total of 148 passes for nearly 2,000 yards and 13 touchdowns?
If I'm Drew Brees, there is an inescapable thought that I have, and it is that the Saints no longer believe in my ability to get the ball down the field. Sean Payton, who I've been with now for 10 years, no longer believes in me, and so he's remaking the team.
Running backs.
He's remaking the team into a ground and pound team. He wants Defense, because he hasn't had defense. They were 31st last year in
Gotta
defense.
get defense.
He brought in a Pro Bowl center because he wants to run the
wants
ball.
to protect you, Drew.
Wants to run. No, he took away my
wants
receivers.
to keep you healthy.
They've got Mark Ingram. They've got C.J. Spiller. Who's the other guy? Kyrie Richardson. I think they're gonna hand the ball off. So
Robinson.
It's over. Kyrie Robinson. It's over.
Tony, this is, if I'm Breeze, I'm upset, and somebody's got to call me in to explain these moves. And that's the only position in pro football you have to explain to anybody to is a star quarterback. Particularly a star quarterback with a Super Bowl ring, the only one you've got, the only championship you've got in your city.
Yeah.
So they got to call me in and explain to me, make me feel good about this. And you know what could make me feel better? If you say, you know what, Drew, you've done the 5,000-yard thing. We didn't make the playoffs last year. We were terrible because we had no defense. We were one-dimensional offensively. We want you to throw maybe for 35 to 4,000 yards. We want maybe 10 fewer passes a game. We have to remake this team.
I think in Drew Brees' case, look, he's not young.
No, was
Drew
he
Brees is
36?
36. He's in his 10th season. Now, you look around the league at Peyton Manning, older than 36. He can't get the ball down the field anymore. You look at Phillip Rivers, a little younger. He doesn't get the ball down the field anymore. So it makes sense to run the ball. Drew Brees, the last 4 years, his touchdowns have decreased.
So do you want to win? What do you want to? Do you want your management and your coach to take a proactive position to winning the football games?
I think that relationship between Sean Payton and Drew Brees has been so close that if I'm Drew Brees, I'm actually hurt now. Don't you think?
I think he probably is. I would think.
Trent Richardson, your boy.
Yeah.
Once the number 3 overall pick in the draft was released yesterday by the Indianapolis Colts, who were desperate for a running back when they traded for him 2 seasons ago. Richardson says he was, quote, not a good fit, unquote, in Indianapolis.
Really?
Richardson further says, quote, my next team will be my last team. They're going to get my all. They doubted Marshawn Lynch for 3 years until he got to Seattle, and look at him now, unquote. Wilbon, do you think Richardson was just a bad fit in Indy, or is he a bust?
No football player should ever say, my next team will be my last team. Because they can make that happen, and you'll get nothing and be happy, as they say. No, he looks closer to a bust. He's had 2 teams. You can't just say I was a bad fit everywhere. I mean, this is his 3rd team. Yeah. So he's got to show something.
His next team is his 3rd team.
His next team is,
he was traded away in Cleveland after less than 2 seasons.
So they thought he was a bust.
He's dumped by Indianapolis in 2 seasons.
And so he's played on a team where they needed a running back. He played on a team where there was a great quarterback, at least a great young quarterback.
Andrew Luck. That's a bad fit, Andrew Luck? Look, he's not good enough?
I understand why a great college star would think, you know what, this is going to translate. This is my abilities can transfer to this league, and I'm going to be a big deal. He has not been a big deal. And, Tony, the league is going in a different direction where running backs, they're usually not late bloomers at that position. You usually show what you got early.
Let's look at other Alabama backs. Mark Ingram averages 4.2 yards a carry. Eddie Lacy averages 4.4 yards a carry. You know what Trent Richardson averaged in Indianapolis? 3.1.
3.1.
So that means you can hand it to him 3 times and not get a first down. So when he says, my next team is going to be my last team, he's lucky if he gets a next team.
I was going to say, he'll get a next team.
Really?
Will he start? Probably not.
No,
I mean, who's going to take him on as a starter with a 3.1 yard per carry average?
Don't ever, when you look like a bust, say my next team's going to get my all, which indicates your last team got your half. Right. So, I mean, you can't do that.
He might not get a next team. That's
my
possible.
position. Let us take a break. Coming up, who's going to have the better season? The running back the Eagles signed or the one they traded away?
And who's more likely to get upset tonight? Number 2, Duke. Number 3, UVA. Toss up.
So you think now that Cleveland can make the Eastern Conference Finals, which you didn't think?
That's not true.
You told me that.
No, I didn't say that.
You said they won't even make the conference finals.
I told you they won't get to the finals.
No, you told me.
Baseball season is here at last, and the excitement continues all season long at DraftKings.com, the official daily fantasy partner of Major League Baseball. Daily fantasy means no season-long commitment. Why wait until the end of the season to claim victory when you can win huge cash every day? Hurry to DraftKings.com now and enter promo code PARDON to play for free. You could win part of the $300 million in prizes being awarded this season. Enter PARDON for free entry now at DraftKings.com. That's DraftKings.com.
It is time for Toss Up, starring me. Wilbon is also in it. What's first?
Toss Up, more likely to get upset tonight. Number 2, Duke, or number 3, Virginia?
Neither likely to get upset. I can't see Duke losing. I know they lost at Notre Dame early in the season. but the next time they played, Duke beat them by 30.
Crushed them.
So what I think is North Carolina has the better chance at beating Virginia. They offensive rebound very well. They're big and strong. The game will be a low-scoring game. They always are, so they stay in it longer. I think the biggest reason is that the game's being played on Tobacco Road. And everybody there will be rooting for North Carolina.
But the last time there was somebody rooting for North Carolina, too, like all of them, like in the Dean Dome. And UVA went down there after a very disappointing loss to their first loss and only loss for a while against Duke. They went to Tar Heel land, to Chapel Hill, and beat Carolina, their most impressive win. Now, they got to reincorporate Justin Anderson, who was probably their best player before he got the broken finger.
Brogdon's awfully good.
Brogdon's awfully good, but Tony, Justin Anderson only played 12 minutes. They got to play him more minutes. That can upset you for a little while.
Toss up. Who will have the better season, DeMarco Murray or LaShawn McCoy?
I expect LaShawn McCoy to have the better season statistically. C.J. Spiller is out of the picture in Buffalo. They have a quarterback who's not throwing the ball downfield.
We don't know who their quarterback's going to be.
Matt Castle.
He's not going to.
So Rex,
you don't know if he's going to be their starting quarterback.
Rex Ryan is going to give LaShawn McCoy every piece of bread he asks for. Yeah. Now, I also think DeMarco Murray will have a lot more touchdowns. I think that DeMarco Murray is going to have a great year. I think both teams win in this. They really do. But I just think Philadelphia's a better team than Buffalo.
I don't even know about the team success, Tony. I'm a shady guy. And
you are a shady guy.
Yeah, I know. Pun intended.
Yeah.
And I just think that Rex, as you touch on, the over-under number is 400.
Yeah.
I mean, he's going to just ride him. McCoy's going to say, enough.
Is he big enough and strong enough to last?
Tony, I don't know. I don't know about the season after. We're talking about this season.
He's not Adrian Peterson. He's not a big
we're talking
guy.
about this season. I'm going with LaShawn McCoy.
So did I. Next.
Toss up. More likely to resurrect their team, Phil or Jeannie?
Phil, the Knicks are a disaster. And
the Lakers aren't?
Phil's exact quote is a project gone awry. Okay, they're going to both get help from the draft, but they're going to both have to go free agency. Los Angeles is going to attract free agents more often than New York.
Because they have so many times in the last year or two.
They have great weather. Kevin Durant is out there. Kevin Love is probably going to be out there in a year. Russell Westbrook's going to leave and go to them. So I think the Jeannie Bus will resurrect the Lakers quicker, and then she'll do what everybody knows she's going to do. She'll bring Phil in to coach. Who's kidding her?
I think Phil will, because if Jeannie was running the team right now, I might bet on Jeannie. But she's not. Her brother, her strange brother, Jimmy, has got the controls. And until Jimmy's out of there, and he allows for this possibility by saying, if I haven't done anything in a couple of years, I'm out. But that's a couple of years. Phil's going to win the lottery and sign 2 players and get Carmelo back, and the Knicks are going to be 7-8-ish next year, so the answer is Phil.
Next.
Toss up last one. Who you got in the Ivy League title game, Ovid or Yale?
All right, both teams have smart kids, but Yale's got a kid who's a Rhodes Scholar, and if they make the tournament, he'll be the first Ivy League Rhodes Scholar to play in the NCAA tournament since Bill Bradley 50 years ago. They also lost a kid to the Whiffin Poops, and that's not an Australian rugby team. That's an a cappella group. I'm going to go with Harvard because Yale gagged like dogs when they should have beaten Dartmouth, and because I have canceled graduate tuition checks at Harvard, and they're playing at the Palestra where I have canceled regular tuition checks.
I'm going with Harvard because they do this. This is what they do. They make the tournament.
Yeah.
And I love Tommy Amaker. Have known him all his life. I think he's a terrific coach. He has turned Harvard around when they weren't going to the tournament all the time. I think Harvard will win. Yale had their chance.
Yes, they did.
And they blew their chance.
Yes, they did.
I mean, I understand Dartmouth is not dog meat. They were 4th in the conference, but Yale blew their opportunity.
Got to win.
Harvard will win.
That's it. You saw it. Apologies for what I just did to your son, Mrs. Wilbon. Let's take one last break, but still to come, your boy Tiger says he won't play a tournament he's won 8 times. Is the Masters next?
He said he was out indefinitely. What's the big deal? How much better is Reggie Bush going to make the Patriots, perhaps? Perhaps. Maybe. I'm just saying.
Much better. Significantly better.
They won a Super Bowl. How much better can he make them?
They need a running back.
They don't need him. They can do whatever they want.
Happy time, people. Happy 69th birthday tomorrow to Wes Unseld, the greatest player in the history of the Washington Bullets Wizards franchise. Unseld and Elvin Hayes teamed up for the franchise's only NBA title in 1978. Nobody rebounded and threw the outlet pass like Unseld.
Nobody.
Wilbon, tell the millennial punks about Wesley Unseld.
In the mid-1990s, when asked if he should play center, Chris Webber said center's a state of mind, and Wesley Unseld is still the center of the Washington Bullets. 20 years later, he was right, too.
Happy anniversary, Billy Crystal. On this day 7 years ago, you struck out in a spring training game for the Yankees. The former Long Beach High School and Marshall University baseball player actually got a piece of one pitch and fouled it off. He's a great Yankee fan, a friend of mine, and he directed the fine movie 61.
Was Billy better at baseball than basketball?
No, baseball.
Point guard, right?
Scholarship athlete. Baseball. Absolutely.
Did he crush you on the basketball court?
Yeah, but so could your kid. Happy trails to high fives in the Brewers dugout. The Brew Crew banned high fives for the next few spring training games in the hopes of avoiding the spread of pink eye in the dugout. They're also considering a ban on Bob Costas in the dugout.
Really? They banned high fives?
Well, because you can spread it to your eyes.
Physical contact? What about chest bumps? Can you do that? Chest bumps?
You don't want anything near your eye, obviously. One omission. The Steelers signed Ben Roethlisberger to a new 5-year contract.
Good for him. Smart move.
Spent his whole career there, don't you think? We're running out of show and we go to the big fish.
Let's do it.
Rangers ace, Yu Darvish, will have Tommy John surgery. He'll miss the whole season. Your thoughts?
A lot of aces with this Tommy John surgery. And Darvish, their chances go down the tubes without Darvish.
Absolutely.
Last year, too.
Absolutely.
Cowboys signed Darren McFadden, 2-year deal. Does that take Adrian Peterson out of play?
Darren McFadden gets hurt a lot. They signed him to a very small
$200,000 guarantee.
Adrian Peterson's got to be in play. He's the best running back out there.
Don't have to give him up.
Well,
you don't have to.
You make a trade. You have it happen. Reggie Bush is visiting the Patriots today. Would that be a good fit?
Anybody who can play is a good fit for the New England Patriots, and they can use a running back again. Warriors are resting. Here we go. Curry, Thompson, Iguodala, and Bogut. Only trip to Denver tonight. How are you feeling about that?
I'm not feeling good about this. I mean, I think this is a bad trend. I think that at some point, Adam Silver has to say, no, you can't do this. People are paying good money for tickets. Their only time in town this week.
Yeah.
Earth to Adam Silver. Come on. Last one. Tiger says he won't play at Bay Hill next week. What does that mean for the Masters?
No, he said he was taking an indefinite leave. It doesn't mean back next week, but they were saying at the Honda Classic a few weeks ago.
We're out of time. We'll try and do better the next time, and I'm Tony Kornheiser.
I'm going to get rid of the gifts. I'm Mike Wilbon. Have a great March Madness weekend, you knuckleheads, and check out the PTI podcast on iTunes.
Come back, Tony Reality Yours Forgiven, and congratulations to Uncle Eric.
ESPN Radio, bringing you directly to the biggest events in sports.
Center field, well hit, Hunter back, out of here!
From opening day of baseball,
Throw to the plate, safe at the plate!
right through the World Series.
For the third time in 5 seasons, the San Francisco Giants are the champions of the baseball world.
Whether it's LeBron, Chris Paul, or Kevin Durant, when the NBA tips off, ESPN Radio is right there when a champion is crowned.
We have a new world champion. The San Antonio Spurs are the world champions.
And when the magic of bowl season arrives, ESPN Radio is your home for the new college football playoff.
The college football playoff first national champion, the Ohio State Buckeyes.
The biggest events in sports can be found right here on ESPN Radio.